She was standing in Lagos traffic selling pure water. Dirty clothes. Babies strapped to her back. Shouting, "Pure water! Pure water!" under the hot sun. She was 28 years old. 10 years earlier, she had posted on Facebook, "Finally leaving this village. City life, here I come. Village life is not for me." The post got 84 likes. The man who sent her to school drove past her that day in his Mercedes. He didn't recognize her. She recognized him, but she was too ashamed to call out. She just watched him drive away, knowing she had thrown away the only person who ever truly loved her. Her name was Grace. And this is the story of how wanting more cost her everything. There was a village in Anambra State. Small village. Everybody knew everybody. Most people were farmers. Life was simple. Life was hard. But people managed. In this village lived a boy named David. He was 19 years old when this story started. His parents were poor farmers. They had a small piece of land where they grew cassava and yams. David had finished secondary school, but couldn't afford university. So he worked. He did everything. Farm work. Helping people build houses. Riding Okada motorcycle for transport. Any work that paid money. David wasn't handsome. He wasn't tall. He wasn't special in any way. Just a hardworking village boy trying to survive. In the same village lived a girl named Grace. She was 18 years old. Very beautiful. Fair skin.
Slim.
Long natural hair. She was the kind of girl that boys in the village fought over. But Grace wasn't interested in most of them. She was focused on her education. Grace was brilliant. She finished secondary school with excellent results. She wrote JAM and scored 276. She got admission to study economics at Nnamdi Azikiwe University in Awka. She was so happy. This was her ticket out of the village. Her ticket to a better life. But there was a problem. Her parents had no money. Her father was a palm wine tapper. Her mother sold vegetables in the small village market. They barely fed the family. They definitely couldn't afford university fees. Grace cried when she got the admission letter. She knew it was useless.
She couldn't go.
The dream was dead before it started. That's when David came into the picture. David had loved Grace since they were in secondary school together. He never told her because he knew she was out of his league. She was beautiful and brilliant.
He was just ordinary David.
But he loved her silently. When he heard she got admission but couldn't afford to go, something in him decided to act. He went to her house one evening. "Grace," he said, "I heard about your admission. Congratulations."
"Thank you," she said sadly.
"But I'm not going. My parents have no money." David took a deep breath. "What if I help you?" Grace looked at him confused. "Help me how? You don't have money either." "I can work. I can save money and pay your fees. It won't be easy, but I can do it. I believe in you. You're too brilliant to waste in this village." Grace stared at him. "David, why would you do that for me? We're not even together." "Because I care about you," David said simply. "Because someone should help you. Because it's the right thing to do." "But how will you raise university money? It's not small money."
"Let me worry about that."
"Just promise me you'll study hard. Promise me you won't waste the opportunity. That's all I ask." Grace was moved. No one had ever done something like this for her. This ordinary village boy was offering to sacrifice his own future for hers. "I promise," she said. "I promise I'll make you proud." That day, they became a couple. Not because Grace loved him. Not really. But because she was grateful. And maybe, she thought, love would grow with time. David started working like a madman. He worked 3 jobs. During the day, he did farm labor. In the evening, he rode Okada. Late at night, he helped at a palm wine bar. He worked 16 hours a day. He ate once. He saved every kobo. It took him 4 months to raise 150,000 naira for Grace's first-year fees and accommodation. 4 months of breaking his body. But he did it. When he gave Grace the money, she cried. David, I don't know what to say. How can I ever repay you? Just succeed, he said. That's how you repay me. Make something of yourself. That's all I want. Grace went to university. David stayed in the village, working to send her money for feeding and books. Every month, he sent her 20,000 naira. It wasn't much, but it was everything he had after helping his own family. For the first few months, Grace was grateful. She called David every day. She told him about her classes. She sent him pictures of the campus. She said, I love you and I miss you, and thank you for everything. But slowly, things started changing. University opened Grace's eyes to a different world. She saw girls wearing expensive clothes, girls with the latest phones, girls eating in nice restaurants, girls traveling during holidays. These girls had money, lots of it. She looked at herself, wearing simple clothes, using a small phone, eating mainly Gary and beans because that's what her 20,000 monthly allowance could afford. She felt poor. She felt small. The other girls noticed Grace was beautiful. They tried to befriend her. One of them, a girl called Rose, was particularly persistent. Grace, you're too fine to be suffering like this, Rose said one day. Why are you managing like a church rat? I'm not suffering, Grace said defensively. My boyfriend sends me money every month. Rose laughed. 20,000 naira? Grace, that's transport money. That's not real money. My uncle gives me 100,000 every week just for checking on him. Your uncle? Not my real uncle, Rose said with a knowing smile. My sponsor. My benefactor. Whatever you want to call him. A man who takes care of me. You mean? I mean nothing bad. He's just a friend who likes my company. He takes me out, buys me things, gives me money. It's simple. And Grace, with your face and body, you could get a very rich uncle. You're wasting your potential. Grace was shocked. I have a boyfriend. I can't do that. Do what? Rose laughed. I'm not saying sleep with anyone. I'm just saying make friends with successful men who can help you. What's wrong with that? Is your boyfriend going to pay your fees next year? Is he going to buy you a laptop? Is he going to give you money to look presentable? The words planted a seed in Grace's mind. A dangerous seed. When David visited her at school 2 weeks later, Grace felt embarrassed for the first time. He came on his Okada motorcycle. He wore his usual clothes. Simple shirt and trousers that had been washed so many times they were faded. His shoes were old. Other girls saw him and whispered. Some giggled. Grace felt ashamed. This was her boyfriend? This village boy with no style? David noticed her discomfort, but said nothing. They went to a cheap restaurant to eat. He ordered the cheapest thing on the menu because that's all he could afford. Grace kept looking around, hoping no one she knew would see them. Grace, is everything okay? David asked. You seem different. I'm fine, she lied. Just stressed with school. But she wasn't fine. Something had broken inside her. She had started seeing David through the eyes of her new university friends. And what she saw embarrassed her. After David left, Rose asked, That's your boyfriend? The Okada man? He's not an Okada man, Grace said angrily. He's just going through a difficult time. Okay. If you say so. The shame grew. Every time David called, Grace found excuses to cut the call short. When he wanted to visit, she told him she was busy with school. When he asked if she needed anything, she said no, even when she desperately needed money. She didn't want him to visit anymore. Didn't want her new friends to see him. Didn't want the reminder that she came from poverty. Meanwhile, Rose kept introducing her to uncles, rich men, business owners, politicians, men with money who liked beautiful young girls. One man, Chief Mike, took particular interest in Grace. He was 48 years old, owned several businesses, drove a Range Rover. When Rose introduced them at a restaurant, Chief Mike's eyes lit up. You're very beautiful, he said to Grace. What's your name? Grace. Beautiful name for a beautiful girl. Are you a student at UNIZIC? Yes, sir. Economics, second year. Impressive. Smart and beautiful. A rare combination. He smiled. I would love to be your friend. I like helping brilliant young people. Can I have your number? Grace hesitated, then gave it to him. Just a number, she told herself. Nothing wrong with that. Chief Mike started calling her. At first, just friendly conversation. Asking about school. Offering advice. Then he invited her for lunch.
Just lunch, he said.
Nothing more. Grace went. The restaurant was the nicest she had ever seen. The food was expensive. Chief Mike was a gentleman. He talked about business and life and opportunities. He made her feel important. At the end of lunch, he gave her an envelope. For books and school supplies, he said. Inside was 50,000 naira. More than twice what David sent her in a month. Chief, this is too much, Grace said. Nonsense. It's nothing. Buy whatever you need. And call me if you need anything else. I'm here to help. Grace took the money. She told herself it was innocent. Just a nice man helping a student. Nothing wrong with that. But it was never just that. Chief Mike called her more frequently. Took her to more expensive places. Bought her clothes. Gave her more money. And slowly, he made it clear what he wanted in return. Grace, you know I care about you, he said one day. I want us to be closer. You understand what I mean. Grace understood. She also understood that if she said no, the money would stop. The nice restaurants would stop. The gifts would stop. She thought about David. Hardworking David. Sacrificing David. David who gave her everything he had. Then she thought about herself. Wearing cheap clothes while other girls wore designer. Eating Gary while they ate in restaurants. Suffering while they enjoyed. She made her choice. Okay, she said to Chief Mike. I understand. That night, in a hotel room in Akka, Grace betrayed David. She told herself it didn't matter. It was just business. It didn't affect her feelings. But it did matter. Because you can't betray someone without changing who you are. After that night, Chief Mike became her sponsor. He paid her fees for second and third year. He gave her 100,000 naira every month. He bought her a laptop, a phone, clothes, bags. Grace started living like the other girls. She posted pictures on social media. Nice clothes. Nice places. Blessed, she captioned them. Meanwhile, David kept calling. Kept asking if she needed anything. Kept working hard to send her money. Grace started avoiding his calls completely. When he asked to visit, she said no. Made excuses. School was too demanding. She had projects. She had exams. Always something. David felt the distance but didn't understand why. Grace, have I done something wrong? You're different now. Nothing is wrong, she said. I'm just busy. You know how university is. But David wasn't stupid. He could feel her pulling away. It hurt him deeply, but he told himself she was stressed. She would come back to him when things settled down. In Grace's third year, she met someone new. A young man named Tony. He was 25, son of a wealthy businessman. He drove a Mercedes. He wore designer clothes. He was handsome and confident, and everything David wasn't. Tony saw Grace at a party and was immediately interested. He pursued her aggressively, took her to the most expensive places, bought her expensive gifts, showed her a lifestyle even Chief Mike couldn't provide. Grace was swept off her feet. Here was a young man, not an old uncle, who could give her everything, who made her feel like a queen, who showed her off to his friends with pride. She started dating Tony.
She didn't tell him about Chief Mike. She didn't tell him about David.
She pretended she was just a brilliant, beautiful girl who deserved the life he was giving her. It was time to officially cut ties with David. She couldn't do it over the phone. She didn't have the courage to see him in person. So she sent a text message. The message said, "David, I think we should stop this relationship. I've changed. My life is different now. You can't give me the kind of life I want. I'm sorry, but it's over. Please don't call me again. Move on with your life." David read that message and felt his heart break. He called her immediately. She didn't pick up. He called again and again. She blocked his number. He traveled to Akka to see her. She refused to meet him. He waited outside her hostel for hours. She sent a friend to tell him to leave, that she didn't want to see him. David stood there in shock. This was the girl he sacrificed everything for. The girl he broke his body for. The girl he loved with everything he had. And she discarded him with a text message. He went back to the village heartbroken. His friends and family saw him deteriorate. He lost weight. He stopped talking much. He worked mechanically, like someone who was just going through the motions of living. But David was a strong person. After 3 months of grief, he made a decision. He would not let this destroy him. Grace had chosen her path. He would choose his own. He took all the pain and converted it into fuel. He worked harder than ever before. He saved more aggressively. He started a small business buying and selling motorcycle parts. The business grew. He expanded it. Within 2 years, he owned a motorcycle shop. Within 3 years, he had 3 shops. Within 4 years, he was one of the most successful young businessmen in the area. Meanwhile, Grace was living her best life. Or so it seemed. She moved in with Tony. He rented her a nice apartment in Akka. She stopped going to classes regularly. Why stress about exams when Tony could give her anything she wanted? Her social media was full of pictures. Designer clothes. Expensive restaurants. Trips to Lagos and Abuja. "Living my best life," she captioned them. Her friends from the village saw the pictures and envied her. See Grace living like a Lagos big girl. So lucky. But luck runs out eventually. In her final year, Grace got pregnant. She didn't know how it happened. She had been careful. But it happened. When she told Tony, his face changed. The loving boyfriend disappeared. In his place was a cold stranger. "What do you mean you're pregnant?" he asked. "I'm pregnant, Tony. We're going to have a baby." "We?" He laughed bitterly. "There's no we. That baby is your problem."
What?
"Tony, this is your child." "Prove it," he said coldly. "You think I don't know about Chief Mike? You think I don't know you're sleeping with him too? That baby could be anyone's." Grace felt her world collapse. "Tony, please. The baby is yours. I swear." "Get out of my apartment," he said. "Pack your things and leave. Tomorrow morning, I want you gone." "Tony," I said, "get out." Grace tried to reach him for days. He blocked her number. She went to his family house. Security didn't let her in. She tried to reach his friends. They laughed at her. "You actually thought Tony would settle down with you? You were just entertainment." She tried to reach Chief Mike for help. He also stopped picking her calls. She later heard he had traveled abroad with his family. The uncle who promised to always help her had disappeared. Grace was alone, pregnant, no money, no support. She thought about going back to the village, but shame stopped her. How could she go back pregnant and used? What would people say? What would her parents say? She thought about abortion, but she had no money for a proper clinic, and something in her refused to kill the baby. It wasn't the baby's fault. She managed to finish her exams somehow. She passed and got her degree. But the certificate felt useless in her hands. What could she do with a degree when she had a baby to take care of and no money? She gave birth to a baby boy in a public hospital. Alone. No one came to see her. Not Tony. Not Chief Mike. Not even Rose and the other friends who used to party with her. Everyone had disappeared. When she was discharged from the hospital with her baby, she had nowhere to go. The apartment Tony rented had been taken back. Her hostel accommodation had expired. She had 8,000 naira left in her account. She called her mother, explained everything. Her mother cried on the phone. "Come home, Grace. Come home." But Grace's pride wouldn't let her.
Not yet.
She told herself she could manage. She would find a job. She would survive. But jobs weren't easy to find. Not when you had a newborn baby. Not when you had no experience. Not when you had spent your university years partying instead of building skills. She ended up in Lagos, staying in a small room in Ajagunal that she shared with 3 other girls. The room cost 30,000 naira per year. She paid for 6 months. That was almost all her money gone. She tried to get office jobs. She had a degree after all. But every interview ended the same way. "Do you have experience? Can you start immediately? We need someone who can work full-time." Having a baby made everything difficult. She ended up selling things. Recharge cards. Small provisions. Anything to feed herself and her baby. But the money was too small. Always too small. One day, someone suggested she sell pure water in traffic. "Good money," they said, "if you hustled hard." Grace refused at first.
She had a university degree.
How could she sell pure water? But hunger has a way of killing pride. Her baby was crying from hunger. She had no food. She had no choice. So she started. Waking up at 5 a.m., buying pure water wholesale, carrying it on her head, walking through Lagos traffic, sun beating down, cars nearly hitting her, drivers insulting her, for maybe 2,000 naira a day, if she was lucky. This was her life now. The girl who posted blessed pictures. The girl who wore designer clothes. The girl who said village life is not for me. She was now selling pure water in traffic. One day, she was in Lekki traffic. Hot afternoon. She was tired. Her baby was crying on her back. She was shouting, pure water, like she did every day. A black Mercedes stopped at the light. Tinted windows. Expensive car. The window rolled down. A man leaned out. "How much is the water?" 50 naira, sir. He gave her 100 naira. "Keep the change." "Thank you, sir. God bless you." She looked at the man properly, and her heart stopped. It was David. He looked so different. He was wearing an expensive suit. He had filled out, looked healthy and successful. He looked like someone who had made it in life. She wanted to call out to him. Wanted to say, "David, it's me.
Grace.
Remember me?" But shame choked the words in her throat. How could she let him see her like this? Dirty clothes. Selling pure water. Baby on her back. David didn't recognize her. Why would he? She looked nothing like the beautiful girl from university. She looked older, worn down, defeated. The light turned green. David's window rolled up. The Mercedes drove away. Grace stood there in the traffic, tears running down her face. That was the man she threw away. The man who loved her genuinely. The man who sacrificed everything for her. And she had sent him a text message saying he couldn't give her the life she wanted. Now look at them. He was driving a Mercedes. She was selling pure water. The universe has a sense of irony. That night, Grace went back to her small room and cried. She cried for everything she had lost. Her future, her dignity, her chance at real love. She thought about David's kindness, his sacrifice, his genuine love. And she had thrown it all away for what? For Chief Mike, who disappeared? For Tony, who threw her out? She had traded gold for stone. And now she was paying the price. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Grace continued selling pure water. Continued struggling. Continued surviving, but not really living. She heard from village gossip that David was now very successful. He had expanded his businesses. He had built a big house. He had married a girl from a neighboring village. They were expecting their first child. The news broke Grace completely. He had moved on. He had found happiness. He had become successful without her. While she had nothing. A degree she wasn't using. A baby from a man who denied him. A life of struggling in Lagos traffic. She finally gathered the courage to call him. She had kept his number all these years, even though he had probably changed it. She called. It rang. Someone picked up. Hello. A woman's voice. Grace's heart sank. Of course. His wife. Hello. Is this David's phone?
Yes.
Who is this? I'm an old friend. Is he available? He's in a meeting. Can I take a message? Grace wanted to say so many things. But what was the point? No message, she said quietly. Wrong number. Sorry. She ended the call. There was no going back. There was no redemption. There was no I'm sorry that could fix what she had broken. Grace was 28 years old. Her son was now 3. She was still selling pure water. Still living in that small room. Still struggling. Sometimes she looked at her Facebook memories. Pictures from her university days. Designer clothes. Expensive restaurants. Living my best life, captions. She laughed bitterly at those pictures. That life was built on sand. It collapsed the moment the men who funded it walked away. Meanwhile, the life David offered her was built on sacrifice and genuine love. It would have been solid. It would have lasted. But she was too blind to see it. Too greedy to appreciate it. Too foolish to hold on to it. Now it was too late. Her son asked her one day, Mama, do I have a papa? Yes, baby. You have a papa. Where is he? He's somewhere else. Somewhere far. Will I meet him? Maybe one day, she lied. Maybe one day. But she knew that day would never come. Tony had made it clear he wanted nothing to do with them. And she had no way to force him. This was her life now. This was her consequence. This was the price of forgetting who helped her. The price of chasing money instead of appreciating sacrifice. The price of being ashamed of someone's love because it didn't come in expensive packaging. Sometimes at night, when her son was asleep and the room was quiet, Grace would think about David. She would remember how he worked 3 jobs to send her to school. How he smiled even when he was exhausted. How he believed in her when no one else did. She would remember the last time she saw him. In that Mercedes. Looking successful and happy. Not even recognizing her. And she would cry. Quietly. So she wouldn't wake her son. She would cry for the life she could have had. The life she threw away. The love she destroyed. But tears don't change anything. Regret doesn't turn back time. She made her choices.
Now she was living with them.
The girl who said village life is not for me ended up in something worse than the village. She ended up in Lagos slums, struggling to survive, raising a child alone, selling pure water under the hot sun. The boys she threw away became successful. The men she chose threw her away. That's how life works sometimes. You chase what glitters and lose what's gold. You chase money and lose love. You chase status and lose substance. Grace learned this lesson. But she learned it too late. And now, every day in Lagos traffic, she carries the weight of that lesson. On her head, a basin of pure water. On her back, a child. In her heart, regret that will never go away. She wanted the city life so badly. Now she has it. But not the way she imagined. Not the designer clothes and restaurants and cars. Just traffic.
Heat.
Struggle. And the memory of what she could have been if only she had appreciated what she had. Sometimes you don't know the value of something until it's gone. Sometimes you don't know who really loved you until you've been used by those who didn't. Grace knows now. But knowing doesn't help when it's too late. Real talk. Grace threw away David, who worked 3 jobs for her, and ended up selling pure water while he drives a Mercedes. Some say she got exactly what she deserved. Others say she was just a young girl who made a mistake, and we should feel sorry for her. What do you think? Did David do the right thing by not helping her when he saw her? Or should he have stopped to help? Drop your honest opinion in the comment below. No judgment here. Backhand index pointing down. Don't forget to like, subscribe to my channel for more amazing video. Thanks for watching.